So obviously we're here for Crysis 3. It was announced last week. Major waves throughout the game industry. First reaction from a lot of gamers. Wait a minute, Prophet, didn't he die? What's up with that?
So, existence in this future setting exists on a number of levels, not only just flesh and blood. You could even argue, what is it exactly that's alive inside the nano suit? Because these guys live very long and when they wear this suit. So that's a theme we're playing around with a lot, and a theme we're actually also wrapping up to some extent in this game, because it is kind of the end of a trilogy after all. So yes, he tried to kill himself, but he actually did return in the end of the game, even like to some extent, right? So existentialism, it's a theme, we're playing with it, and I'm not going to go into detail what that means exactly, but you're right, he did shoot himself in the head, but at the same time he's back, so we'll wait to figure out what that means.
So back in the day, Crysis was, as you explained, like a new high for graphics. Crysis, the second Crysis, didn't do exactly that. Where would you think that this third part will figure in? Like, will it set like a new high on graphics again, or?
I think it will, yeah. I mean, it's definitely our goal, and it's our goal to do it not only on high-end PCs, but also on the console platforms, right? We want to, I mean, we only done console games for a short while, right? Crysis 2 was the first one we did, so we have a lot of room to improve there. And now we have the piece inquired to also improve a lot on the PC side, because we're not developing the engine as we're developing the game, which puts us in a much more controllable situation, you could say, than it was during the Crysis 2 production, where both trying to make a super ambitious game and then all of a sudden also kind of converting your production platform onto completely different, untried, untested platforms is just much more difficult, right, from that point of view. Mm-hmm. So our goal is to make the best looking game on consoles as well as on PCs, and so far, I mean, it's looking good already, and we're still fairly early in production, right? So.
Yeah, but of course, a critical PC gamer would say, okay, I have this like really expensive tower that can do like NASA stuff, and my game, my Crysis 3, is being kept down because it has to run on an Xbox and a PS3 as well. What would you say to a gamer like that?
Well, that's not really how it works. I mean, the way when you develop games today, the DirectX 11 architecture and all that is very scalable, right? So. And our engine is very capable of rendering a lot of draw distance and rendering a lot of polygons, even on a console. So it's mostly about the shader possibilities, right? Obviously, there are some things you just can't render on a platform that don't have a graphics subsystem that supports that kind of shading or lighting model or whatever it may be. But we have very good R&D people who can make emulated versions of that brings you almost the same. So. The problem can occur if, for example, let's say we couldn't convert great drawing distance onto a console, so we would make everything smaller because of that. But we don't have that problem. Our technology runs really good even on not so powerful platforms like that. So it's more of a perceived problem amongst PC gamers than actually a problem. We can definitely push Crysis 3. I mean, you can look at this stuff. Even if this was only going to come out on PC looking like this, it would be hard pressed to find any other PC game that looks as good as this, right? So, and this we can make run on a console, maybe not to exactly the same fidelity, but perception-wise, it will look the same, right? So, it's as I see this, it's a pseudo problem. It's not a real problem. Right? And it doesn't hamstring us in our ability to push technically. So if we don't worry, they shouldn't worry.